Because you're in tune with yourself doesn't mean you need to be guarded, doesn't mean you need to be so on edge, doesn't mean you need to be so triggered. You know, it's not necessary. Again, you can have what it is that you truly want here. There's something very beautiful forming here through your revelation of self. Hello, Capricorn. My name is Kristen Simone Hansen, and welcome to SeaGoat Secrets. Hi Capricorn, my name is Kristen and I'm a healer. In this video, you are going to get a full rundown of Capricorn's energy for the month of March 2026 and how it affects you and your placements. I begin with the astrology and I end with a card reading. If at any point in this video you feel connected to me and would like to become a client of mine, you can do so by joining this link here and also in the bio. I welcome you. And if you would like to know what my clients are saying about me and my client circle, you can also find this link to my Trustpilot here as well. And as you all know, I'm a global citizen. And so if you have not already, please let me know where you're listening from in the comments and we can all connect and be a strong collective. Now, with all that being said, let's get into this. Hi, SeaGoat, how are you? So here we are for the month of March and how it will affect you, Capricorn. One of the biggest things, Capricorn, we're going to go back to the month of February. The thing about February that I found to be quite interesting, Capricorn, is February kind of showed you the ways in which you needed to think differently, the way in which you needed to process yourself, your life, your dynamics, your capabilities, your possibilities differently. February showed you things that you didn't think possible being able to be made possible. Inside of you now, because this is your personal reading, I'm focused on what's happening internally. Inside of you, there was this powerful shift that went on in terms of your sense of self, your identity, your self-worth, and your self-value. And this is not through. This is not over. You're in the beginning of this, okay? You're in the beginning of this, and I cannot say it is the most comfortable experience because the idea of an increased sense of self-worth sounds very nice until you have to actually go through it. Until you're dealing with situations where you are challenged, until your sense of comfort is threatened, trying to, and many of you are because of the way in which you're feeling more confident again, wanting to lighten your energies, right? Wanting to kind of feel better again. Some of you could feel like you want to smile again, lighten up a bit more, and not be so serious, not so drudgerous. But again, here we are in this contradicting experience where it feels like you're being tasked to stay in a space that you do not necessarily want to stay in, this kind of back and forth, this tug and this pull. Your relationships are showcasing themselves in a way that is very difficult. They've been doing so since November of 2025, right? As we were rolling out of the year of the snake, that's when this really took tenfold in terms of you really having to understand another side of your social life on the 11th of November in specific. Now here we are entering into March, and on the 11th of March you are finally going to be free of this, SeaGoat, which is good. But since November 11th, it's been tough, since the 11th of November, it's been tough. You know, you really had to understand the other side of your life, right? The other side of your emotions, the other side of this isn't the practical or career reading, but when we go there, we're going to talk about it. You know, contractual matters, business partners, who can be trusted, who can't be trusted, legal matters, relationships, the other side of your partner, the other side of who's around you. This could have also been your neighborhood, your friends, your family, different things like that. You've really been put through the ringer when it comes to this Jupiter in retrograde energy. And Jupiter in retrograde is awakening your second house. It's activating your second house because it's in Cancer. And for you, this has been tough. It has been very difficult. The good thing is you get the release of this on the 11th of March, but up until then, because we are here reflecting on February, you were having to deal with and understand yourself in relation to those around you. So as this shift happened when it came to the Aries conjunction and, Saturn now finally getting out of the martyr space of Pisces, the year of the fire horse beginning, all of this intensity and this energy also put you into a space where you're feeling quite strong, you're feeling better about who it is that you are. Again, it's a journey. It's something that is going to take time to develop because it's moving through the fourth house. But you found this emotional release. You're feeling this emotional release, and something inside of you has lightened its load. However, you're still dealing with those conflicts. You're still dealing with those uncomfortable moments when it comes to seventh house matters. Again, people, contracts, legal matters, who you're married to, who you're in a relationship with, all of your social dynamics, really, and what you are doing in those situations and how you're navigating them. When a new you is born and unearthed, and it's born through fire, and it steps out of the hyper-compassionate space of the martyr, that is an uncomfortable place to be in when you still are feeling challenged by your relationships. Right? When you're feeling that square and those contradictions in your relationships, you have become someone new. And because you have become someone new, you are not interested in dealing anymore. One of the biggest energies I've gotten actually is the overarching energy for this month is I got the Chariot with closed doors. Now, for those of you who are here for the first time, hold tight because there's a full card reading at the other half of this. But this is the overarching energy that I got here for the astrological portion, the spoken portion, the Chariot with closed doors. You are the person that is taking on this Chariot energy. You're powering through. That is a major arcana. So March looks like a lot of deep, intense transformation when it comes to your relationship with yourself, what it is that you are doing with yourself. You're powering through. You're powering through a storm, however, an emotional storm, and you're closing a million doors on your way out. So it's like, the crow is crashing through the forest, and on its way through the forest, it's putting behind it everything that no longer serves, everyone that no longer serves, any situation that did not work in its favor. Let's just say you're realizing that there are no good opportunities around you when it comes to these seventh house matters, right? When it comes to, and it's not just the seventh house, but for most of you, it is around that seventh house energy. Because of the way that Jupiter is going to be stationing retrograde, I do feel it is going to be one of the biggest themes for you this month, this March, is you being the powerhouse Chariot energy that says no more. Keep in mind, the Chariot is also Cancerian. And what is happening is now your Cancerian energy, which is your fourth house, has Aries being backed up by Neptune and Saturn. Your fourth house is already Aries, but with this Neptune and Saturn energy, you're giving everything you have to being this powerful version of the fourth house, which is the Chariot. It is Cancerian energy in its most powerful state, right? The person who is emotionally resilient, the person who can be the bully, right? But the person who is powerful by any means necessary and invokes that power in order to close doors. There is a deep awareness that you have in March of what is no longer worth it. What and who is no longer worth it. But most importantly, it starts with you. It starts with you. Now, we start March entering on the 2nd, entering a beautiful Mars in Pisces, okay? So when Mars enters into Pisces, this is awakening your third house, okay? And when you step into your third house around matters of March, this is, again, you're understanding the power of your communications. Most of the energy of this month is around water, right? It's around emotional resilience for you in your personal house, in your personal reading here. Your personal house, let's call it that. In your personal house. So it's putting you into a space of communication and conversation. So learning and actively defending yourself through your words, through your words, doing it diligently, and you are not interested in mystery any longer. You're not interested in being misunderstood. There is a power behind your defenses, but and still, it's also powerful because you're able to incorporate, and if you are not thinking of doing so, do so. You're able to incorporate things like understanding, things like empathy. There is power in compassion, right? And it's almost often used as a mode of diffusing SeaGoat. So when Mars enters into Pisces, this sextiles you and it puts things into a space where you feel like you can handle them. You feel like you can power through. One of the biggest things I'm paying attention to for this month as we are in Pisces season is the way in which this water energy is aligning with you. Because like I said, I got the energy of the Chariot, and you are moving through emotional resilience. Emotional resilience is the theme for you, right? It's you beginning the process or stabilizing the process of no more. Now, when Venus enters into Aries, that happens on the 6th. So all throughout about the first week of the month, we have some pretty big transits from Mars entering into Pisces and Venus going into Aries. So again, now we have the Sun is trining with Mars, and we have Venus now trining with Neptune, Chiron, and Saturn. So this is a lot of intensity backing up you needing to be resilient in your 4th house. All of this emotional intensity, all of this emotional power, all of this deep self-confidence that has been trying to find you. This, I will prioritize my needs by any means necessary. I know what it is that serves me. I know what it is that doesn't serve me. This Venus entering into Aries makes it so that you're very, very aware of what it is that you want around you, and you're willing to step out on courage in order to do so. You're putting love behind, how do you say? It's like you're putting love behind, I was going to say light for some reason. You're putting love behind your light, but you're putting love behind your light. Let's just hold that energy and kind of keep that there. But that's what's happening in the first week. It is this feeling where you're navigating difficulties and situations in a way that is better during the first week. You're kind of rising above, speaking things in a better way. And then when Venus enters into Aries, you're self-prioritizing, but you're self-prioritizing again for your emotional body. This is you're going to find yourself doing things that make you feel better, beautifying the home, beautifying the self, slowing down, having the courage to choose you even in a room full of others, having the courage to love you, prioritize you, value you, stand up for you, regardless of what it is that's happening. But again, the way Venus is adding to this energy with Saturn and Neptune and Chiron, it's all about healing. So this is you putting yourself into a space of healing, even if it's challenging to anyone else, even if it is uncomfortable. You are let's say, dead set on doing things that you didn't do before. The things that you wish that you did maybe 3-4 years ago, you're doing now. The ways in which you are self-loving, self-prioritizing, self-bathing in this way, that's what you do to form resilience, to, how do you say, I guess, stand your ground. Let's just say it's almost like a soft standing in that sense. Unbothered energy or something along those lines. Now, next to this, we have Jupiter finally stationing direct, like I said, on the 10th of March, and this is a very powerful energy. So the first week, you're coming into this space kind of, again, feeling more of focused on self-care, self-prioritization for your emotional well-being. And then when Jupiter finally stations direct, that intensity releases. The intensity of the ways in which these 7th house matters have been pressurizing you finally releases and lets you go. Right? It releases and lets you go. So things start to feel better, right? You're able to get movements in how you are navigating your connections. People kind of back off of you a bit, maybe after some tense interactions in the first week or so. But again, this release kind of, finally takes place and you're feeling better. You're able to set more boundaries. You're able to feel more stable in yourself, feel better in yourself. And this again is a big release. This is a wonderful emotional, like deep breathe out kind of shift. It feels like there's less pressure around you for being you, let's just say. Now, next to that, we have the sun entering into Aries. Now, the sun enters into Aries on the 20th, Capricorn. Sun is in Aries, Neptune's in Aries, Saturn is in Aries, and this is all leading up to healing Chiron in Aries. So that is a part of why March is such an intense month for you in terms of emotional power, emotional resilience. When the sun enters into Aries, this gives you a major boost of confidence, victories ending in, conflicts ending in victories. That's kind of the energy of March. Resilience, conflicts ending in victories, doing it by any means necessary, closing the doors because you're tired of them being open. You realize what's worth your energy, what's not worth your energy, who's worth your energy, who's not worth your energy, and a deep sense of giving to you gets born. By the time the 20th comes around, you're feeling a lot more bold, right? A lot more unapologetically bold in who it is that you are. And regardless of how it affects anyone around you, this is something that's coming from deep within you. This Arian energy is obviously big for the entire collective because it is fire, right? It's me first, fire, ego energy. But in your case, it's something so much deeper because it's coming from the belly. It's coming from within. Intense sacral increase, intense, I would say more the sacral than the root, but intense sacral healing, sacral increase. This is not worth it. That is not worth it. It's like you're being skyrocketed out of the martyr of Piscean energy and forced very quickly into this powerhouse energy. And you're doing so with diligence. Now, Mercury finally stations direct on the very same day. So like I said, I would say that a large majority of you are going to be dealing with conflicts throughout the month of March, verbal conflicts, verbal confrontations, trying to explain yourself, trying to be understood. But again, something about it feels final. Like we said, closed doors, something about it feels final. So it's definitely a month of you saying what it is that you have to say and saying it for the last time for a very long time, or if not forever. Right? Setting those boundaries, making yourself clear, making your truth known, making your reality something that is bold and overt, and doing so in a way that is, again, very, very intense, very honest, very bold. And so when Mercury stations direct and the sun enters into Aries, this is you again putting it behind you. It's a relief that you feel. So the first relief you feel is on the 10th, and then it happens again on the 20th, and it's deeper. The first relief is a nice ease, right? It feels like people are attacking you less, right? But you still feel on edge, or you still feel like you need to say something or you need to prove things. And then the 20th gives you the full release. The 20th feels very like fire being born through you, very passionate, very clear. You're understood, you're respected, you have established yourself, let's just say. Now, from there, I'm going to go into Venus entering into Taurus. So by the time we end the month here, we are in Aries season, and Venus enters into Taurus on the 30th of the month. So everything leading up to that, obviously, we have the sun entering into Aries, Mercury stationing direct. So that 10-day window, there are a lot of beautiful conjunctions. We have Venus conjuncting Chiron on the 26th. We have the sun conjuncting Neptune, and then the sun on the 22nd. The sun conjuncts Saturn on the 25th. The sun sextiles Pluto on the 25th as well. So all of these, and then the sun sextiling Pluto on the 28th. So literally from the 20th to the 30th, expect the best time of the month. Okay, so we're talking about very, very lucrative movement, confidence, vitality pretty much moving through you, feeling very, very good from that window, from that 10-day narrative. So again, once we step into the 20th, you're in a very different space, and then you end that, right? So those last 10 days are very vital, feeling very good, feeling very valuable, a lot of it feels like it's not even necessarily joy for the sake of joy, but it's a deep sense of, again, confidence, intensity, personal power, personal empowerment, feeling like you know who it is that you are, you're standing in who it is that you are, you're feeling, again, sex appeal can increase. This is your personal reading, so it's more about your emotions. So I would say by that last 10-day window, you're feeling very, very good emotionally. You're feeling very strong emotionally, very in tuned emotionally. You know what it is that you want, and you know what it is that you wish to achieve in terms of your connections, your situations, who you're dealing with, and who is around you. There's so little tolerance. So little tolerance for anything that ruptures you on an internal level. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be easy for those around you, but for you, it's a deep sense of contentment. And pretty much whoever experiences the aftermath of that, I guess, will. But I love the month of March for you. It's transcending. It is. You begin it, again, making it clear who it is that you are. And then you end it being clear, whether, again, most importantly with yourself, but again, being clear to others. Being clear to others and having this boldness, right? The sharp boldness, the boundary within itself, let's just say. Okay, so that is what I have for you, SeaGoat, and we're going to get into the reading now. Hello, Capricorn. Here we are for your March monthly reading. And in this case, SeaGoat, we feel, most importantly, introspection. So there's a lot tied to introspection. You are feeling very alone, okay? You're feeling very alone this month. But this does not feel like the kind of aloneness that is isolation because you are forced into it. This feels like isolation because you're putting yourself into it. You're putting yourself there. Very introspective, very alone, very at one, very at ease with the self, very in tune with the self, individualizing the self. Even, again, against the better judgment of another. Like this feels like you, because we see the Hermit here along with the Seven of Wands. And if you notice, both crows stand in the same position. They're staring out into the distance. In the Hermit card, we see that this crow is deliberately putting themselves in the snow, kind of, in this winter experience, looking for more, looking for that which is unseen. There is a lot of beauty in winter. There is a lot of beauty in standing in the middle of a storm. There's a quietness that comes when a blizzard comes. I don't know if many of you guys I've done this, like I've sat outside in the middle of a blizzard because it's a time when hardly anyone, if at all, is going to be outside. But also it's so quiet. And for those of you who have done this, it is quite warm in the middle. After everything snows and the snow is on the ground and the ice starts to form, that's when you really feel the thick of the cold. But in the middle of the snow itself, when the blizzard is going itself, it's not always so cold. And there's such a quietness, a beautiful whisper of the winds and the snow and the elements. It is truly like, being in the womb of Gaia in that way. The things that die and get reborn in winter. That's how you feel to me. And I think it's interesting because you're doing this in the month of March, and March leads us into spring. Right? We're officially out of the year of the fire horse. And like I've told you guys many times, for those of us that follow the astrological chart, the new year really begins on the spring equinox, right? It begins in Aries season. But for primarily most of March, you're in this winter kind of feeling, this introspective, solemn, alone, wisdom gathering, collecting all of your thoughts, collecting all of your feelings, your ideas, your perspectives. This is the energy that you're in. And it's not something that was done to you. This is something that you're doing. You are doing this. And then we also see it here with this Seven of Wands. And so what is interesting here, and I guess what clarifies this, is the Seven of Wands is you standing at the top of this ledge. So for many of you, you feel alone because you feel like you are surrounded by people that are, I'm just going to say what rolls off my tongue, SeaGoat, beneath you. You feel like you're surrounded by people that are beneath you. You feel like you're dealing with competitiveness, dealing with competition. But again, not in a way that is, I'm sorry, SeaGoat, I don't feel like anyone is actually coming for your place on the top of this ledge. I don't feel this. It feels like you maybe believe this. You believe this, you feel this, and therefore you're disengaging. Therefore you're not engaging. You're detached. You're detached and standing very comfortably on that ledge, watching the others swirl around you or squirm around you. And you're dealing with it this time in a way that is much stronger. You feel very strong as this hermit. You feel very empowered as this hermit, which, ultimately based on a lot of the things that you guys have underwent during, the Piscean transit, Pisces and Neptune, Pisces and Saturn. I've talked about this a lot. You took on the energy of the dark side of Piscean energy, which the shadow side of Piscean energy is, human debauchery. It is the ultimate martyr. It's the ultimate victim. It's the person who there are no boundaries between them and other people. A lot of you went through scapegoatism. We spoke about this. And in my reading where I was talking about the Aries conjunction, you are taking on a whole new identity. And this is the first month that is in full effect. Basically, you're in this energy in full effect while navigating primarily Piscean energy, because we are still in the Pisces sun energy. So it seems like your approach to dealing with Pisces season is to protect your energy, to pull yourself back, to see people, situations clearly. Again, a boost of confidence that seems like it's leading to you standing on that ledge aware. Maybe you weren't aware before because you were too engaged before. Again, Pisces blurred the lines. And so blurring those lines, you're not always able to see yourself in relation to the other. You see yourself too much in the other, not understanding that you sit differently. You are in maybe a higher position. You are a different kind of person. You are a person that sits in a higher throne, let's just say. And it feels like that awareness is what hits you this month, and you're dealing with this and navigating with this emotionally during this month. And there we go. Now, and what's interesting is, again, at the bottom of the tarot deck, we have a Five of Pentacles. We have this Five of Pentacles, but in this case, the overarching energy is the Five of Pentacles. But again, this does not feel like isolation that is happening to you. This feels like isolation that you are deliberately doing. You are detaching. You know where you sit and you know where you don't sit. The thing about this Five of Pentacles as well is you have crows sitting in the trees and crows sitting without. You are not engaging. You're disengaging. You are self-isolating. You're disinterested. You're disinterested, and you're standing up there very like, before I wanted to be invited to this table, and now I don't actually want to be there, and I prefer to stay exactly where I am. It's a lot of self-focus, self-isolation, and it's inducing a lot of self-introspection, which ultimately you are enjoying. You are enjoying this feeling. Now, we've got breakup, separation, stop the pattern, and meeting, conversation, conversing. So again, this for you, SeaGoat, you're stopping the pattern of past dynamics through self-isolation, through self-choice. This is the way you're choosing yourself. And to give you the credit, SeaGoat, I don't see that you're choosing yourself as like, with a King of Wands or a Queen of Wands or any ego or Emperor. No, it just feels like, I don't need this. Your energy is kind of, again, very pulled in, pulled back, self-prioritization. That's how you break the pattern. That's how you stop it. It's just, I know what to engage in, what not to engage in. You're seeing people clearly. You're seeing that you stand here and they are down here. And it feels very quiet. This energy feels very quiet. Now, in your shadow, we've got La Lune in reverse, and we have the Six of Cutlass in reverse. Okay, so I would say we've got two major arcanas here. So, your shadow is just as powerful as what's going on, okay? So it's pretty much balanced in that way. What you are experiencing holds a lot of weight this month, okay? But what it is that you fear also does. And so I think one of the biggest things is you fear not understanding what is going on. You fear not knowing what is going on. You fear not being able to assess, make sense of, like almost as if you are saying to yourself that you want to heal, move forward, have a better experience. And then the fear that you have is that if you're not in this very in tuned, introspective, almost calculating space, then you're going to miss the secrets amongst the moon. You're not going to know what's going on. You're not going to be able to see what is going on, or what is hidden beneath the surface, or behind the curtain, different things like that. That's what it is that you're worried about. And that's also why you're so quiet, why you're so observant. And still, quiet and observant, and strong in that, very deliberate in that. No, and your healing point, your vice is Pandora's gifts, and in the world, not of the world. Pandora's gifts is all about you opening the energy that you're going to have with yourself. So again, there is more for you to see. There's more for you to know. Honestly, SeaGoat, I don't see you being in a battle with you this month. This doesn't feel like a battle. There are different months that come by where it's like, SeaGoat, you're in your own way and you need to do this. But in this case, this feels like you are in alignment. I cannot say that this energy is a negative energy for you to be in. I will say to let go of the worry, because it's not necessary. You might be a bit too guarded, but honestly, this energy is putting you into a space where you are able to see and explore the different possibilities. Your advice is to dive deeper into yourself, see the secrets of self, get to know yourself in a different lens. There's so many, again, this is about you. There's so many gifts and perspectives that sit within you that you don't know. And this quietness, this moment of introspection is about you discovering that, getting back in tune with yourself. In the world, not of the world, especially juxtaposed with Seven of Wands, it's just, again, you're very focused on, stay the course, stay focused on you, stay the course. You, in the world, not of the world, is my SeaGoat energy. It is about understanding the balance of spirit and the practical world, emotion in the practical world. You don't, and then in this context, it's about you understanding you don't need a lot of, I was going to say anyone. I'm just going to let it roll off my tongue. You don't need anyone. You don't need anyone, and you are aware of this. This is not your world. You are the individual. You are living in your own experience. You are living in your own perspective. Now, keep in mind, SeaGoat, this is your personal reading. So this is what's going on in your emotional body, right? This is what's navigating within you, okay? And so in this case, it's keep going the course of understanding how different you are, how independent you are, how much you stand here. And a lot of what you've had to deal with is just squawking energy. Squawking energies. You've put yourself down from that throne and interacted way too much with dangerous birds, let's just say, with the crows who knew that you were a crow that was a bit above. And if you take yourself from that leadership role and you bring yourself down, well, then you're asking for resistance. And so the thing that happens for you during this time is you spend a lot more time alone. You are much more aware, much more observant, much more in tune. And you're aware of you. You're aware of your difference. You're aware of the status you hold, the standing you hold. And this is good. Individualize yourself, individuate. I would say March is that stepping stone to your individual experience, but not from a space of, again, coldness. No, from a space of awareness. You don't need to fit in here. You don't need to interact with these people. You don't need to. The lines are no longer blurred between you and another, and you are aware of this. You are very hyper in tune with this. Now, your healing points is all about stepping out of anxiety and understanding that there is a gentler way to do this. So I would say one of the biggest things is, especially when we're looking at your shadow, I like this energy for you, SeaGoat, but you can struggle with rigidity. This can kind of be this space where you are lacking in trust a bit, right? Instead of understanding that this time of introspection, this time of seeing your value, getting to know yourself in comparison to the other, seeing the mirror more clearly, doesn't have to be so dark. It doesn't have to be so guarded. You know, you don't have to be worried that you will not have peace. You do not have to be worried that you don't have it all figured out if you're not so, guarded and that's not a worry that you have to worry about. You're on the right path here. This is, you're following the right path, but it's a path that you should enjoy, right? You should enjoy whatever conditioning that says that to be in this self space, to be in this kind of introspective, isolated space is something negative. Is simply that it is an illusion, right? It is something that is navigating through your mind that is kind of distorting you. It's not necessary to have such a negative approach. Now, underneath the advice, we have the sacred fool. And that's the thing that the sacred fool understands, that it knows nothing at all. The fool is the genius of it all, of us all, because it knows nothing at all. Okay, and at the bottom of the clarity deck, we've got abundance. You being able to have exactly what it is that you want. So again, it goes into this space. Oh, excuse me. At the bottom of the shadow deck, we've got a 9 of Wands in reverse. So yeah, so it's a very similar energy. It's just this kind of thing. It's like the reality of what it is that you're dealing with. It's enjoyment. It's enjoyment. It's a detachment. It's a disassociation from what no longer serves you, and you want to detach from what and who. And this brings about a lot of healing because it brings you into a space of clarity of the self, awareness of the self, confidence within the self, realizing your individual experience, understanding your gifts. But again, like we said, the sacred fool knows that it knows nothing at all and is allowing, let's say, allowing life to unfold. So I would say one of the biggest things is let go of the pretentiousness, let go of whatever guardedness. Just because you're in tune with yourself doesn't mean you need to be guarded, doesn't mean you need to be so on edge, doesn't mean you need to be so triggered. It's not necessary. Again, you can have what it is that you truly want here. There's something very beautiful forming here through your revelation of self. The shadow is unnecessary. Now, when we look at the healing points, there is a gentler way. This is very important, SeaGoat. There is a gentler way to proceed and obtain the same or even greater effect. Tame the wild and frenzied working of the mind by grounding yourself with beauty, pleasure, and grace. Violence and its negative effects shall be overcome and healed through feminine gentleness and inner spiritual strength. This is a sign of great future happiness. Again, SeaGoat, this is a beautiful energy. But the biggest shadow that I would see here is how you are seeing it, how you are feeling about it. It's almost like, when we go through the journey of self-love after going through a long time of not loving ourselves, and sometimes we can be overactive, we can overdo it, we can find ourselves becoming arrogant, we can find ourselves becoming cruel, just to try to honor ourselves, just to try to see ourselves or put ourselves first. But in reality, it's not the fault of another person that you did not know how to love yourself properly. All right, that sits with you. And this is not a moment of shaming you, but it's just a moment of me trying to kind of speak to this, right? There is this kind of, it doesn't need to be so intense. This revelation that you have of where you stand or how great you are, how powerful you are in comparison, all of these downloads that you're getting, this introspection, the way you're ending the pattern, the way you're becoming aware of your role, the way you are choosing to self-isolate from what serves you and what doesn't serve you. This is bringing about a beautiful abundance. You can put behind you what no longer connects with you. The thing that I love about the Five of Pentacles is I say all the time that the Five of Pentacles is like a soft closing door. And so, excuse me, it's like a soft closing door. It's the kind of door that says, I don't want to be here anymore. And it's not the same as the Six of Cutlass, or the Six of Swords, which is, that was a bloody battle and I'm covered in scars and I just have to move on. I just have to, try to take what I still have. I have to clean my face off, clean the blood off my lip, and I have to just keep going, or the Chariot, which is a strong slamming door, the death. There's so many different closing doors throughout the tarot, but one of the beautiful things about the Five of Pentacles, it's the kind of door that says, I just don't want to be here anymore. And it's a soft close. It's not one that involves an argument. It's not one that involves a back and forth. It's just it's a finalization. It's a okay. The answer is no. Self-isolate, disassociate, and it's kind of just that simple. And this shows you that there is no need to interact with it anymore. And this is exactly what it is that you want. A lot of you have felt burdened by your connections and people and different things like that, and you're going to be aware that you are, like I said, it's just very blunt, that you sit above and many sit below. And that what you've been interacting with or whom you've been interacting with, its burden has been because you put yourself down from here. You couldn't understand that this was a dynamic you were actually dealing with. But now you know. Now you're able to know. Now your energy is more controlled, more tamed, more aware, more in alignment. Right? And you're ending cycles and patterns around what you were dealing with from a space that is much more in tuned, controlled, introspective, alive in that way. And you're seeing yourself and the value of yourself. Disinterested. A lot of you will find yourselves maybe leaving, this isn't the love in career or practical reading or anything, but just from the emotional side, a lot of you will find yourself, you're feeling a lot more peace this time around, so far from what it is that we can see. And a lot of you may find yourselves just disassociating from people, places, and things, and in the practical sense, but also in the emotional sense. Things that could have been driving you crazy, things that you could have been way too invested in and cared way too much about. You can find yourselves really just kind of, closing the door on them. People around you that could have been really triggering you, or just able to kind of be at one. You get it. It's like your eyes are open. This is not worth my energy. And that's what I mean about the gentle, there's a gentler way to proceed. And it's quite beautiful, but you need to let go of this fear that you need to, stay in the dark with the light on, and saying that, there's so much shadow in this night. It doesn't have to be like that. That's an illusion. Now, when we look at the bath call, this is also about anxiety. So I would say one of the biggest things, because we've got air, so your mind is going to be aware that it's soft, that this is a soft close, a soft revelation, a soft birth of self. And your mind also has to, and with that being said, it's going to move through your spirit, because we have fire here, getting you to break up with and end the constant state of anxiety. The moon is also about anxiety, right? Really overthinking, carrying a lot of fear within the body, carrying a lot of, your mind moving at 1,000,000 miles a minute, trying to control things from a space of guardedness, and, it's stepping you out of that. Eschew complicated explanations as you seek simplicity of the deepest truth. Gently but firmly cast aside that which does not resonate. Like we said with this beautiful Five of Pentacles, gently but firmly cast aside that which does not resonate as being true. Focus upon and speak from a higher perspective. All prayers are answered at the perfect time and in the perfect way. You have a beautiful voice which can foster healing and wisdom. So again, there's a gentler way to proceed. And this gives birth, not only, like we said, your mind notices this and your spirit realizes, maybe I was overthinking this. Maybe this deep sense of anxiety or stress or worry, and a lot of this does feel like it has to do with people, okay, and situations. Obviously situations, but most of these situations feel like they're more aligned with people. For many of you, the situations that you will be dealing with are again more rooted about how you are seeing people, how you are understanding people in the dynamics or people in the situations. You are in the world, not of the world. You don't have to be anywhere. You don't have to attach yourself to anything. See yourself more clearly. Open to your own Pandora's box. But this is again what is going to happen here. At the bottom of the Healing Points deck, we have the Beta of Spirit Wolf. Okay, and this is an earth energy, so the overarching energy is going to show itself in the practical. Okay, so give yourself enough rest. So again, as your mind understands that there is a softer and gentler way, and the gentleness of your own experience, of your own human experience, that it's not as bad as you think, or it's not as intense as you think. And this makes way to you stepping out of anxiety, right? Starting the journey. And what I love is the fact that we are in all this Aryan energy. And like I've mentioned to you guys before, Aries represents what's going on in your emotional body, which is tied to things like anxiety disorders, fear disorders, and things like that, because of what has gone on in the fourth house, because of what it represents inside of you. So when we see this fire energy, we see that it's moving in full effect quite beautifully. So give yourself enough rest. This is happening in the practical. So you're going to just feel a lot more, this just feels very in tuned, very soft, very slow. Only then will you be able to ground yourself enough to cultivate focus and motivation to fulfill your path. You will find a way through any tricky situation as you tune into your instincts and trust your own timing. From times of change and uncertainty comes love, resilience, and confidence. Embrace transition, commit to your tasks and stay focused, but be flexible in your approach. You have the skill to intuitively handle any issue. Exactly. That's the revelation. The revelation is relaxation. The revelation is understanding that this anxiety, worry, fear, all of these things, it's not, this doesn't hold any real weight over you. You're stepping out of that into a space of realizing resilience, confidence, love, alignment. Right? You're fine. You're fine. That is a revelation that finds you, especially as you become aware of where you are in comparison to the other. And this makes it so that you interact with people, places, and situations a lot differently than you did previously. I like this. I like this energy a lot. So we have thinking, feeling, wow, doing, being. Now look at you, Capricorn. Look at you. Look at you, huh? And at the bottom of the deck, we have the Eight of Swords. SeaGoat, do you see that? We have a beautiful Eight of Swords. Okay, so So very clearly and very straightforwardly, Capricorn, this energy is speaking for itself. When we look at the Eight of Swords at the bottom of the deck, you're stepping out of self-imposed darkness. This whole entire month is you, but you're doing it in a way that is, you know, it's not necessarily about just jumping for joy and all of a sudden the sun comes out. No, it's something so much softer than that. It's so much deeper than that. It's very, yeah, it's very quiet. It's very introspective. It's very aware. It's very in tuned. You realize who you are. You realize who you are in comparison to the other. You realize where you've stood, where you are standing. And it's a gentle nudge forward. It's a deep revelation that de-stresses you, pulls you out of a state of anxiety, pulls you out of a state of overthinking. A lot of you could have been in a very difficult state for some time. And this month shows you in a space that you develop a strength of knowing, an awareness of knowing. Now, and this again gets you out of the state of insecurity, self-imposed darkness, right? The stress and the worry and the fear and the anxiety, like we see with La Lune, we see all of these things. You know, you're able to move through this. Now, when we look at what it is that you need to be thinking, we have a beautiful Six of Cups. So lighten up. Lighten your mind, lighten your perspective. And also a lot of you are going to be dealing with past dynamics this month. Okay, so you're going to be aware of the past. You're looking at the past in a certain perspective, but looking at the past in a more healed perspective. Looking at the past and dynamics of the past through a different lens, through a different light. It's almost like that moment of when you see someone you haven't seen. So we got cut off, SeaGoat, but made you feel chaotic, made you feel all of these things. And now you're able to see them much more differently. You know, you're able to see that, maybe you were always in the stronger seat. Maybe you entertained something that you shouldn't have. Maybe you didn't see clearly that you were in the world, not of the world. That you, the role that you played and who it is that you were. This month requires you to have more of a peaceful approach, but from a space of not trying to be the peacemaker just because, but literally from a space of more dignity, more awareness. You know, I think we said this to you a few months ago, Capricorn, and you're actually now at your end of wrapping up your 3-year cycle from 2022. This is now done. It's now completely finished. By the time March ends, whatever you've been working to try to fix from that time period of 2022, that window will come to its close. So I would say that for a lot of you, you're able to... It's not from a space of playing the peacemaker, from bringing yourself down below, but it's a space of you being aware that it's, and I think then was when we said it. There was during a reading where we were like, is it that they didn't like you, or is it that you didn't know the role that you played? Is it that you were hated, or were you just being competed with? Were you less, or were you indeed more? So that's kind of what I mean. Your mind needs to be in a much lighter space with the Six of Cups, a softer space, a youthful space, an unimpressionable space, a non-judgmental space, okay, you know, okay. And your emotions are in the Ace of Cups. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Between the Six of Cups and the Ace of Cups, that's a very beautiful energy. We also have this whole entire thing is is beautiful here, Capricorn. Your emotions need to be in renewal. The biggest thing is you're seeing perspectives differently than you did before. You're seeing everything, but feeling everything differently than you did previously. Your emotions need to be in a space where you need to allow them to be reworked, be renewed, be felt, refelt, experienced in a way that is, it's cleaning out the old muck and making way for new emotions, new feelings, new fulfillment. Now, what it is that you need to be doing is the Six of Pentacles. again, like I said, I'm just going to make this very clear. This is mostly social dynamics. So even if you're dealing with, if this manifests itself in more on the practical side, or if it's manifests itself more in love and relate, at the end of the day, what's going on inside of you is a reworking of the way you interact with your social life, the way you interact with your dynamics with people. And so what's happening is you need to be in a space of more equal give and takes, generosity. So even though you are aware of the Seven of Wands, that you stand on a throne, let's just say that you stand on a ledge, and it's not Six of Wands, it's not necessarily to say that people want you there or whatever it may be. Even though you're aware of this, it's almost like a forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do kind of approach. A lighter perspective, a more emotionally fulfilled and emotionally in tuned, emotionally okay kind of energy, right? The way and then this puts you into a space where you are more generous, more equaled, more balanced in the way you approach people and situations. And who it is that you need to be is the world. The person who is in who's in fullness. The person who is ready, able, and excited to end the past and align with the new. You're meant here to build a new world. I want you to look at what's going on in that world card. You see this figure and how she's staring out into a new reality. The world is about ending, yes, what once was, but making way for what is new, making way for a whole new built reality from a brand new perspective, a more gentle perspective, a more emotionally in tuned perspective, an emotional renewal perspective, a more generous perspective. All of this stemming from the way in which you lighten your mind, you lighten the load, you lighten what it is that you've thought and felt before. You become more aware of who you've always been from this more introspective space of Pandora's box, understanding your role as being in the world, not of the world, understanding your individualism, stepping out of anxiety. This is very powerful. It's an extremely powerful month, let's just say. But it's in your hands as you realign, as you lighten, as you become more in tuned. You become more in tuned. So let's get an oracle here, and then we'll see. All right, Sisters of Sun Blossom. The Empress came out at the bottom of that deck. All right, Capricorn. So, Sisters of Sun Blossom came out for you. It is good to remember that whilst we take our own unique journey back into the divine bliss and truth, we have plenty of friends that love us unconditionally and wish to help us find our way home with least suffering and greatest joy. When we allow ourselves to be helped, we help others too. It is a spiral of support and love that is wishing to connect more so with you now. Group energy is powerful. When used consciously, it can help us expand in the same way that if we were doing any task, many hands could hold light work, as the saying goes. Well, many hands may light work too. Your energy can help nourish and lift the energy of others in a group as you are able to carry a high vibration of love in your heart. So I say one of the biggest things, SeaGoat, like we said, it's time for you to move in a way that is more generous. So yes, you become aware of this in your isolation and introspection. But through this isolation and introspection, become aware of the role that you play. There's a gentler way. This does not have to be with so much resistance or edge, breaking up with what it is that you no longer want to happen. Ending cycles, ending dynamics with people in situations that you did not see fit. You're putting yourself in this self-imposed isolation. But self-imposed isolation, to get a better view of yourself, to reopen to generosity, to open to a fullness of heart, to a lighter mode. You're ending old worlds in order to make way for the new. So a lot of you will find yourselves ending old social groups and aligning with a new one. But more than anything, and this feels the most true, that it's more about changing the way you interact, even with those who are still around you. It's like you go within in order to understand your role and what it is that you are actually dealing with, to then approach it differently, respond differently. Like we said with Beta of Spirit Wolf, right? From a time of confusion and uncertainty becomes love and resilience, able to navigate situations better than you initially thought. Understanding that there's a gentler way to do this. A lot of the time we go into isolation because we think that there are monsters outside of our room, especially when we talk about the moon with La Lune. That is what the moon can induce. That's what it can be, staying in a space of worry, the creatures that come out at night. But there's also so much beauty in the wake of the moon. So this is the biggest energy. You're going to rework the way you connect with people, the way that you interact with people. And if this is all about you, you're going into the space where you are opening up, being more gentle, being more aware, being more in tuned. When we talk about that Seven of Wands, the Seven of Wands is still a person in a leadership position. How do you handle it? Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do, right? Are you really going to be very taken back by it, or are you just going to understand it for what it is and open yourself to a more generous approach? Soften the situation because you have the power to do so. Most of you have engaged in situations that you shouldn't have engaged in, and then dealt with the aftermath of that, right? The chaos, the this, that, all of these things, because you didn't understand what it is that you were dealing with. But now that pattern ends. This is a very, very powerful month, a very big change in how you perceive yourself and how you then interact with the world around you. A very emotionally fulfilling, emotionally renewing month. And it happens in a way that is slow and quiet. Now, next to this, we have the gentle. Very straightforward, Capricorn, the gentle. The extraordinary power of clarity, like a chill breeze that can touch you to the bone. Exactly. The maximization of intuitive clarity demands existential attention. So again, the clarity of intuitive insight. The awareness of who it is that you've been, how you have misperceived situations, how you have misunderstood and therefore responded inaccurately. And now you get this deep, profound sense of who it is that you are, who you've been, who the people around you are, how you need to see the world through a much more emotionally in tuned state. This is asking for you to connect more, but connect more because you understand who you are, instead of interacting as if someone that you are not, and the old world to create the new one. The ability to sense when it is the right time to act, to intuitively know what needs to be made ready to be prepared for the future and follow through with it. Okay, what was unbalanced here was to be so afraid of the future that you were paralyzed, to not trust yourself and your own instinct, to know what needs to be done, to prepare, and failing to act on it. Trusting the gut. Okay, so that is what I have for you, my lovely sea goats. I love you so very, very much. Ciao.